Hello and welcome to the short Vort on Parshas Bamidbar. We start this week the Sefer HaPikudim, translated into English as Numbers. And as we focus on Chamishi, we see the separate counting of the Shevet Levi that was not included with the Bnei Yisrael. The Bnei Yisrael were counted different from Shevet Levi. Shevet Levi was counted from 30 days and on, which is once they leave the risk of being a nefel, we want to make sure that they're survivable, but there's no minimum age for the counting of a Levi and no maximum. And that number was from 30 days and up was 20,000. The other tribes were counted from the age of 20 to 60, when they can be warriors. But we actually have a second counting of the Shevet Levi that was not 22,000, but even less, and that was from 30 to 50. The Levium for their peak maturity years and service in the Beis Hamikdash, and there was only 8,580 of them. So, no matter how you slice it, they were much smaller than any other Shevet. The other Shvatim were averaging more than 50,000 members of a tribe each. So why was it that Shevet Levi was so small? So I'd like to share several reasons, starting with the ones I like perhaps the best, and including some that I have some questions on, but I will share with you anyhow and let you decide what your questions are and what your answers are. So firstly, Shevet Levi was smaller than all the others because there was a response from Hashem that just as much as the tribes became punished and suffered in Egypt, so they became fruitful and they multiplied. However, Shevet Levi, as the priestly class, was not meshubad in the land of Egypt. They didn't have to work, and therefore they didn't have the blessing. They were more natural in their growth rate, and therefore there was only about 8,500 between the age of 30 and 50 versus several times that much for the 20 to 60 range of the other Shvatim. Also, Levi was one of Shimon and Levi. They were cursed, as it were, by Yaakov Avinu for their actions in Shechem. So while Levi was always a small number, Shimon, which was once, I believe, one of the biggest tribes, eventually they had different magefos and they shrank in size also, reflecting Yaakov's dissatisfaction, but not to the extent of shrinkage of Shevet Levi. Another explanation is that the Shevet Levi, they didn't have their own place to live in Eretz Yisrael, and therefore they had to be supported, whether serving the Mikdash or as teachers, by the other people, but the other Shvatim. Therefore, it wasn't good that they would be too numerous, and also as the elite education class, that tends to be a smaller number. Not everyone could be on that high level. And finally, an interesting explanation that the other tribes, the women were so afraid of the Egyptians who enslaved them that they didn't have their periods, and therefore they were not they were able to be with their husbands more frequently, and therefore they were numerous. In contrast, the Shevet Levi, they were not in servitude, and therefore the women were not afraid, and there were no mikvos in the in Egypt, and therefore they wouldn't be able to be with their husbands. But the other people could be, the other tribes, because they didn't have their periods. If that sounds, that's one where I have a lot of questions on, but it was an interesting concept. So, thank you for listening, and have a wonderful week and a wonderful Shabbos.